Welcome to the talk, everyone. So I would like to introduce the topic here, improving editors' life in NEOS. So our focus today on this topic is editor and how we, as the developer or as the company, can help them. And what will be the result after that help, we will show you in the next slide.
Because we want to have a happy editor.
Yeah, not upset editors. Okay, this is me. My name is Leah. Most of you know already who I am, what I'm doing. But in this part, my introduction is a bit different from yesterday. So what I want to focus or tell you is that I've been working now with NEOS for 1.5 years. And for me, it's a great experience. I really like it a lot. I work with projects, and in project, my role is a product owner. And I basically like to eat good foods. It's my favorite. And movies. I like to watch movies. Thank you.
I am me, Sebastian. I mostly work in Germany. Now I've been in Cambodia also last year and this year quite a lot, and working here with Web Essentials and also for customers in Europe. I've been developing websites for quite long. But the important thing is, I joined a NEOS code sprint 2 years ago because Gina told me so. The woman with the curly hair. And so I went there without any knowledge, had a lot of fun, and since then I tried to spend a lot of time with NEOS. I would go to a lot of code sprints, also did several projects already, and I really love it. And I love cooking, so she's happy. What we want to talk about. At the end, we want success for our clients. That's the most important thing, because if they are successful, they pay us. We want to include editors in our concept, because they are super important. What do you do with a website without editors? It's really empty. For them, the back end is the most important thing. Then, how can integrators help there to improve the situation? And how can NEOS help there, especially? Yeah.
Okay, so this we want to say how this topic become sort of to us, like to the both of us. First of all, I want to explain a bit because I have been working with CMS, Chapter 3 CMS, and I also now working with NEOS. And after time, I learned that working with the content can be very difficult if the implementation of the product is not running well or it's not proper implemented. And that, I think part of that I learned some from Jonas, because we work on the same project together, and there you gave some idea about how to constrain the node type and so on, so that I learned from. And since then, whatever feature we implement, I really want to look at the usability in the backend. Because if you have the good usability, good workflow, you can be more happy and enjoy working on the content. And you want to make more updates often.
Yeah, for me, this whole topic is very important because in the long years with Type 3 CMS, usually in our projects there was no budget to train the editors. We didn't even meet them often. When we finally meet them, it was very strange because they were very unhappy about us, but we didn't even know them or talk to them. Sometimes clients called us, our developers, and asked, hey, how is this cool extension working that you installed for us? And we didn't even know sometimes. Because we cannot know exactly how 20 different extensions work. If you have a very, very big corporate website where they do all kinds of crazy things, so often editors knew actually more than the developers. And this is the situation, and the editors were often if the system changed, like we upgraded from 4.5 to 6.2, a lot of things changed, some buttons moved, and now a lot of editors cannot work anymore. Imagine 50 editors who now have to search for their favorite button to do something. That's a big problem, and that's why we talked a lot about this, because she, from a product owner standpoint, and also content editing standpoint, and for me, because I know what's technically possible, I'm in contact with the NEOS team and also contribute there, I can change things for the better.
So for us, we want success for our customer. Give them the ability to create content easily. When you create a website for your customer, of course, you want all the feature, all the functionality works. But if you cannot work on the content, you simply cannot deliver content to the end customer, the one who needs it to see the information. And we want to help them to publish often needs.
The website should be up to date.
Yeah.
It should not be like they launch and then for 2 years nothing happens.
Yeah. And because of that, it also allowed them to work what we call efficient, but in a way allowed them to work easily on their feature, on their product, on their content.
Like if they want to create some new content, some blog posts, they should not, like the editor should think, oh my god, I have to have 2 days for that. He should just, if he wants to write something, go there and do it. And not like make a big plan just for writing some text.
Yeah.
Or adding images.
And as a result, they can show that to their customer. We can do it, that's the feature. Everyone can do it.
Can edit. So, in our projects, the editors will often need, so we want to help them. And it first starts that they have to be part of our concepts, of your concepts, of projects' concepts. They have to be thought of in the beginning, right at the start when you think about what do you want to actually do with the website. So, what are the goals of a conceptual phase link?
Is to get their input from the beginning, because developers are great at creating, but they're not good at knowing this is usable. And at the end, for me, I need to use that workflow. And if you create something complicated, I don't really like it. So that means it needs to collaborate between the editor and the developer. And for you as a developer, sometimes it may be annoying that we request for a lot, but it's actually very simple. We just want the simple step when we work on that. And that's also important because if we need to work with you, for example, I need to spend some time to work with you to tell you what are the workflow it should be done in order for me to want to work with it. So it spends time, so if it spends time, it needs more money. So from the beginning, as a company, you should support the idea of having this conceptual done. Because at the end, you will earn a lot from it. So we together should just define goal, find the simple workflow for the products.
For us, this is our that word how we think about it. The editing experience also needs to be validated ongoingly in the project. Like every time you have a milestone or something, you have to check, is it still current? It may be also the client changes behavior. Do they have a different goal now? Is there something? And depending on that, you maybe have to only update it like every half a year, check everything through. How is it actually used? Are there content elements which the client doesn't need anymore? We had that, like in our project, we had features there which were used in the beginning, and then they never used anymore. And we migrated them to the updates, and we did all kinds of work on them, but they were never used. But we didn't know because it was not like very visible that they are not used. So here there's also work going on a bit in several projects, like how to find out what is actually used. If you have features and then you can like have some mechanism where you see, oh, this is actually really unimportant and nobody looks at it, then you can just throw it out.
Or you can improve it. Okay, so why should the client invest into this? Like, as I said earlier, we need time, so we need money. So, for example, one of the very many experience I met, for example, you just want to publish this content. Simply, you should be just going there and enter the content and publish. But there were just too many steps. And that actually takes a lot of time from me doing that job. It's quite annoying. And for the backend as well, if it's loading too long, I'm just confusing, is it working at all? So it's not very good. So as a developer, you should also think about the website performance when you are implementing. And the unuseful error and validation message, that should also be think about because it's quite a distraction. And for the content editor, or for myself, I'm not a developer, when I see anything red on the screen, oh, this is not working. And these actions are not easy to find, but together you should be able to do that, and you should do some observation, like the retrospect of your project. What is you want to say in the change canvas?
About the actions also, it's about if you want to do something in your CMS or in a website, like from an editor's standpoint, if you think about, I want to add a blog post, what do I have to do? This should be easy to find, like only like 2 clicks to go there and actually do it, and not I go to the submenu and have to remember the third tab on the right, and then I select the TD News thing, and then I set the type to blog post, and then I can write something like that. It should be just a bit more fluent. Changes get lost. I forgot what we meant. Using the wrong tool for the job means, for example, you install an extension which is like almost what you need, but not completely, and then you use it for what you want to do, which means like you push it a bit. Like in many type of free projects, TD News is used for everything. You can do all kinds of things with that, but it's not the tool for it. It's not the right tool. You can use it, it works for a while. As soon as you do then, for example, an update or migration, or you want to do something more interesting, it's getting really, really hard. I mean, it's great that the tool can do this, but it's just not the right tool. Complicated documentation. A lot of packages, extensions, whatsoever, or even the CMS itself are not well documented. It's hard to find out how it works. It's even worse for features you provide or extensions. Often there is also not a lot of documentation. And when we wrote documentation, most of the time the first draft of the documentation the client didn't really understand. So there were the feedback loops there to create a documentation that was useful. And at the end, the editor doesn't really want to do his work because it's not fun. If he has to go through all of that, then at the end of the day, yeah, he writes a bit of a text because his manager said so, but it's not fun for him. So we think simple workflows are a necessity for regular output. Yes, John?
Isn't it possible to create a macro so that you want to do something and it just takes you right there? I don't know.
There are things like that. The Typo 3 has something like that, a task tool, but it's badly documented and confusing. I hope they work on that. It would be nice. Because it's actually cool. But it doesn't really solve the issue. Because you don't know if it breaks with an update or something. There's no like API in the system where you like easily can connect all the steps.
Oh. And in NEOS?
we don't want to need that. The idea is that we don't need macros. We want to have a simple workflow.
We just want to have what is needed.
Yeah.
Not too much, not too little. Just enough to understand.
So, good usability doesn't need lots of documentation. Also, developers say that about code. If they write awesome code, they don't need to write comments. I don't agree necessarily on that, because it's a very personal view on something. I think sometimes still documentation helps a lot. And comments.
Yeah, but also you just need to find a way how can it be easily understand. Like in this picture, you put just everything. Do not simplify. You have 10, you just keep away 10. Complicate.
So how can integrators help there? For example, you can join the community. NEOS community or type of free community. You can ask people, you can be in contact there. Since a few months now, NEOS has this community page where you can ask all kinds of questions and get in contact with the core team, and it's really nice there, and you get feedback very fast. And everything is discussed there. Like you can really influence all decisions and where the project is going and so on, because every topic is open. You can learn from others. You can go to Slack, like also you saw in the Level 3 talk. You can talk to everyone. People are really nice there, really. And it's always great to see someone joining, and a few months later he's contributing and so on. It's really cool. And what I personally found out some months ago, because I don't like to write documentation. I really hate it. And so I got a good idea from my brother, and to provide videos for where it's possible. So I decided for every feature that I asked my customer if they would be fine with that. For every feature I provide, which is not like standard, which is not like just a text element, where you have to do a bit more, and I see that it's not like if I give it to them, they will just understand. I create a short video where I click through it. It's a screencast. I click through everything. You see where the mouse goes. I do it a bit slower. Show what you have to click, in which order, and at the end you get your result, your content, for example. I check how long did it take me. For example, sometimes I find out, oh, it took me 10 minutes to create this content element. That's not good. Then I maybe go back again, look at the code, look at the implementation, find out, oh, if I remove this step, make it a bit easier, combine those fields, do this and that, suddenly the video is shorter and maybe only takes 5 minutes. I save so much time for the editor if they do it often. So there, of course, it's also impossible in this concept phase. Talk with the client and the editors how much they need it. If a client needs a content element once, the usability is like not so important. Often it's created once and then stays there for a year. If they have to create something every day or even every week, it's really important that you have a great workflow. The video is easy to understand because you actually see what's going on. It's not like a screenshot and then you wonder, oh, it looks different, or where something's missing in between. We had that a lot. And the customer sees the feature is working, because if he then on his own machine sees, oh, something is a problem, and he sees, maybe I did something wrong, I look at the video again, and then he's, I have to do this and that first. This way, I needed much less time. The first video took me 3 hours to get into this, how it's going and how it should be and how it's good. But then, now I need like 20 minutes to do a video for a feature, so this is super easy. I put it on Vimeo in a closed group for the customer. They can watch it anytime they want. It's really easy. I could even localize the video, or if it's fast, I can update the video if there should be some big change. And I often, when I make a video, I found bugs or little things that are not good. Like, why is this button is complicated, and why does the whole page reload? I don't need the whole page reload. It's fine if you like the content element just reloads or something. And the customers were super happy. If I put in Jira the ticket to the customer, I send them the link to the video, and then I look at 2 days later into the system and I see they already created 60 of those elements, for example. I don't get feedback like they write me that, yeah, it's awesome, but if I see that they are so productive, I'm happy.
So how can NEOS help?
So, this is written on the NEOS website. Explain.
So just read it out loud together. Think of NEOS as an open source content application platform based on its own PHP framework flow. A set of core content management features is resting within a large context that allow you to build a perfect customized experience for user. So here, context that allows you to build customized perfectly experience for your user. It's meant for the developer. So we have a tool, and we can use this tool to create something fun, something awesome.
We shortened it a bit because it was a bit technical. So we say NEOS doesn't solve content editing issues. It gives integrators tools to provide a great experience there. That's what is important for the editor. So we want, in the last months and in the last project, we worked a bit on good practices, because in the NEOS documentation, for example, there's a very nice cookbook section where you see how can this, if I have a certain problem, how can it be solved? And there we provide some best practices now. But the project is still young, so a lot of things are not tried out yet. Also, there was the NEOS 2 release now, and there are a lot of new features, but there's of course no super best practice there. So with our work and working together, we want to find out this in collaboration with the customer and with the feedback of the customer. Like if we give them a feature and they like it a lot, we think about, yeah, this could be good, then we refine it, and at some point we also want to provide this, all the knowledge we get there online for other people to use to the community. So, if you don't know NEOS so well yet, first, in NEOS, the backend is more or less the front end. You look at the website like it is. Here you see the blog post we already wrote about this topic, the first of hopefully many. Like in type of free, you have the page tree, and on the left, you have also the content tree if you want to see it in a list instead of just scrolling through. You have inspectors where you can do additional settings which for a content element. You should really try it out. But I don't want to go into that so much. But it's more like you're directly in touch with the website and not in an abstract view on it which doesn't really resemble what you do.
So in my editing, what we have in NEOS allowed us to just go in the content area and insert the content directly. So it's very similar to the normal, like Microsoft Word, for example. If you use Microsoft Word or LibreOffice, and that is very useful.
What the inline editing allows us is, it's there, it's easy, but you can do a lot of things with it which are really nice. Like if you have like an offer or a contact person element on your website, and you show it at different places, like in the contact page, or like you have a list of your employees and so on, and this person has an email address or a telephone number. Everywhere you show this content, you can also edit it. You can change the telephone number anywhere, and that's really nice because you don't have to remember, oh, I have to go to this page and then I can edit the telephone number. You can just edit the telephone number when you see it. And that's the important thing. Yeah, sorry.
And also this is how the backend look like if someone of you work with NEOS. So for us, it's important to name those elements correctly so that it's, when you go there, you know where, on which you should click to create your content. And NEOS also allows you to rename, for example, if you have a name like doctor and it doesn't really make sense, you can also change to nurse. So to fit with your language understanding to the customer.
Yeah, you can adapt your project to the language of the customer. It's so nice. In the, many projects we had, like the customer called and asked, "Oh, can you do this?" And then we said, "Yeah, add the image slider thing. That's what you call carousel." So in our project with NEOS, it's so easy. You can just change the name of everything. So if in the project requirements the customer is used to calling something in a specific way, just change the names. And then if they go to the backend, then the editor wants to add something like here, my customer likes to call certain things pictogram instead of icon or image. And just change it. And then they don't have to think about it. I don't care so much about what it's called, but for them, it's easy. You can also in NEOS, when you, this is like this creation wizard for pages and content. You can have grouping here. You can help this, like say, structure, and then on structure there's everything important for the grid. And yeah, find good names, find good icons, like location has this little Google Maps marker. And so on.
Here you can see the contact between one element to another. So what you can do in NEOS is you can, for example, create, is this a newsletter?
Newsletter is done.
Yeah, that you can give the guideline. For example, if I create news, what will be the next content that is related to news? So you don't just give too many elements that is not necessarily related to this content. So simply you know where to go after that content.
Like we have in one project, there's a customer who can create newsletters, which you can send out. So there is a parent element called newsletter archive. It's like a page, and only in the newsletter archive you can create a newsletter. So if I'm on the newsletter archive page and want to add a page, the wizard just shows me one thing. That's much easier than finding the right one. And then automatically the newsletter archive page can also just list those newsletters. So everywhere you are in NEOS, where if it's about content creation, you can really think what makes sense here. Sometimes you have two columns, but in the right column there should only be a few certain things, maybe only images. And in the left column you can say the editor can add whatever it wants. You can also say that, for example, on the base level you can have 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column, but it wouldn't make sense if you create a 1 column and then in the 1 column create another 1 column. That's pretty useless. So then I hide this element.
And also, if, as you can see on the screen, you can also define how many elements you want to display. Like, because I experienced a project, we just have everything, even though we don't need it. So why do you display a lot of stuff that is actually useless? It just creates confusion. So here you can make it clean according to what your customer needs.
Like if you're in the backend and create a new element, maybe if you only create an element every month, you forget a bit about how it worked. And then the editor sits there and, what do I have to do next? So why we can just tell him, go, because if we don't have inline editing, like for the street name, zip code or something, and phone number, select available services in the inspector. As soon as he has something selected, the message disappears because it's fine. And we have to clearly tell the editor, you're in the backend. Because I also don't want to tell that the editor think, oh, if I don't add something, it will be shown in the front like this box. It should only be there. So we need to have some kind of information about it. I don't like this style yet, but you get the idea. Usually also if you provide like a hint when people hover something, it doesn't work because people don't wait for that. So all these tooltips and so on usually don't work. You can also provide helpful hints for complex input. In this case, it was about opening times for a location. There's also an opening time, either they can say Monday to Friday, it's always the same, or each day individually, Monday to Saturday. And for each day, they can say, for example, from 8 to 12 and 2 to 6. So there's a lot of data fields. Like if you have 7 input fields, 7 days, more or less, with 4 values, that's 28 fields. And you don't want to have someone fill out 28 fields. And maybe it works in the beginning when he first creates it, but if he has to change something, it's really, really hard. So what I did there, create a normal field with a special validation. And then if he starts writing, I tell him, enter a valid time range. And then I show him an example, what kind of values are allowed. So he can immediately check, is it correct? Until he doesn't fill it out correctly or remove it, he cannot save the element. And this way, I can have in one field 4 values, which is a bit easier to write. Here you see it's a comma between the 2 opening times, but you could also do it like a sentence. 7 to 12 and 1 to 4, something like that. With regular expressions, it's really easy to do. So, just one example how this configuration actually looks, because we say things are so easy, but they also have to be implemented easy and easy to configure and maintain. Maintaining is super important. In my work with Type of Read, we did a lot of things with this TCA, where you can configure all kinds of fields and elements, but usually nobody understood it anymore after a certain time, what we did there. I'm glad that they want to change it, but still it was like that. So if I want to say, I want to have a value called Monday, it's a string, it's called Monday, it's in a certain group, so all the days are grouped together. I can order it. I can have a placeholder with a simple example. I provide my validation. So I have my own time range validator, which is just like in JavaScript a small regular expression. And what I really love about NEOS, the search stuff is so easy. I can just say, when people search for opening time on Monday, if Monday to Friday is filled in, just use the value of Monday to Friday. If it's not filled in, use the Monday value. And if both are not filled in, apparently it's not open on Monday. And I can do that with this one line, and the search function will just understand it. We came very far with content editing. If you take a look at the temples, if you're in Angkor Wat or any other temples, people spend, I guess, months to bash into the stone, get their words in there. I mean, the words are still there after 1,000 years. I don't think our NEOS content will be there in 1,000 years, but the content breaks after a while, or it's hard to read and nobody understands it anymore, and they took so much time to do it. So we came very far with that. People can now do it fast. But there's still so much to do. There's research to do. We have to find best practices. We should really ask ourselves, if you have a complicated workflow, is it really necessary, or can we come up with something better? Also there, include the client there, or make him understand that he can save money later there. And I tell him also that it costs something because quality costs money. But that's hopefully. Yeah. Thank you.